Welcome to Naveen TechHub, where AI meets real-world engineering.
Every time you click Add to Cart, check product stock, or finalize a checkout, you send a request to a backend API. If that API stutters under the load, the entire digital experience breaks down. To meet that demand for speed, developers are migrating to FastAPI. It is a modern Python web framework built specifically for rapid execution and developer efficiency, allowing you to write production-ready code faster. To follow along with this build, you'll need Python 3.7 or higher installed on your machine, along with a code editor. We will be using Visual Studio Code. Mastering this specific technology stack is a core requirement for building the high-performance microservices and scalable backends used by major tech platforms today. Step 1 is setting up a clean workspace. Open your terminal and create a Python virtual environment by typing python-m venv. Activate it by running source venv/bin/activate on Mac or Linux, or the equivalent scripts command on Windows. You'll know it worked when you see venv appear at the start of your terminal prompt. Now we install our core packages. Run the command pip install FastAPI Uvicorn. This installs two separate pieces of technology. FastAPI provides the framework logic to build your routes, while Uvicorn is the server that actually runs your application and interfaces between your code and the web. By running this installation inside an activated virtual environment, we lock these specific package versions to this project. This isolation prevents system-wide package conflicts that often derail production deployments later on. Create a new Python file named main.py. Inside, import the framework and create your core application instance by typing app equals FastAPI. Next, define an endpoint using the @app.get decorator. This routes visits from the root URL directly into the function below it. Inside, we return a dictionary. FastAPI automatically converts this into a structured JSON response for the client. To start up the engine, go back to your terminal and run uvicorn main.app-reload. The reload flag tells the server to automatically restart anytime we save changes to our script. Open your web browser and navigate to localhost 8000-docs. Here you will find an interactive Swagger UI dashboard. FastAPI generates this documentation interface dynamically based on your code. This automated documentation eliminates the need for manual API spec maintenance and accelerates the testing cycle. Now let's handle real data. FastAPI uses a library called Pydantic to enforce strict data validation at runtime. We start by importing base model from the Pydantic module. Then we create a product schema by subclassing it. Inside this class, we define the exact structure of our e-commerce product using strict Python type hints: the name as a string, the price as a float, and stock level as an integer. For this tutorial, we will create an empty Python list called db to simulate our data storage. Next, we write two new routes, an @app_post endpoint to add new items to our list, and an @app_get endpoint to retrieve the full inventory. When a client sends a post request, FastAPI takes the incoming JSON body and automatically parses it into a Pydantic object for the post handler to process. By declaring the exact types expected for every attribute, we create a validation barrier. This ensures that only correctly structured data is added to our list, preventing malformed input from ever polluting our application storage. Save your file. Because we used the reload flag, you can simply refresh your browser's /docs page to see the new product endpoints instantly appear. Click Try It Out on the post route. Submit a valid JSON payload with a text string for the name and a numeric value for the price, and you'll get a successful response. Now submit another request, but intentionally provide an invalid data type, like typing out the word 20 as text in the numerical price field. The server instantly rejects it with a 422 validation error. FastAPI generated this detailed error response automatically, explaining exactly which field failed and why. This automated error handling reduces the amount of boilerplate code you have to write, which improves security and reliability in production APIs. You've just built a fully functional, strongly typed, and self-documented REST service. This diagram shows how we scale this structure. In a production architecture, that in-memory list evolves into a persistent Postgres database with a Redis cache to handle high traffic volume. The next stage is migrating the API to use a real database. This code shows how to integrate SQL Alchemy to manage persistent data through route dependencies. In a technical interview, you should explain that FastAPI's performance is rooted in its ASGI foundation. This is a modern server standard designed for high-speed communication. By combining this with Pydantic for rapid data validation, the framework significantly reduces the overhead of processing requests. However, a critical takeaway for production is to avoid blocking the asynchronous event loop. If you perform long-running synchronous tasks within your handlers, the server cannot move on to other requests, negating those performance benefits. The patterns you learned today are the foundation for the complex microservices driving the current tech landscape. Subscribe for more architecture deep dives and check the repository below for the final source code.
Imagine for a second that you were building the back end for a massive e-commerce application. I mean, think about it. Every single time a customer browses a product, adds an item to their cart, or hits that checkout button, the front end is firing off messages to a back-end API. Well, today, in this explainer, we're going to build those exact APIs from scratch, and we're using Python's FastAPI to do it. We're going to treat this just like a real live coding session. We'll break down every single line of code from first principles, so by the end of this, you are going to understand exactly how modern tech companies build these high-performance systems. So let's dive right in.
We've got a really packed roadmap for today. We'll start with real-world applications, run through our setup in FastAPI, build out a practical product router, make our data bulletproof with Pydantic, look at production scaling, and finally, wrap up with some crucial interview success tips.
All right, part 1, real-world backend APIs and how they power modern infrastructure.
Now, before we write a single line of code, we really need to understand the why. Why are massive companies rapidly shifting to FastAPI over traditional battle-tested frameworks like Django or Flask? Well, FastAPI is designed from the absolute ground up for one thing: pure speed. It runs on something called the ASGI standard. That stands for Asynchronous Server Gateway Interface. Because of this, it literally rivals the performance of Node.js and Go. You get this native support for async in await, which means your server can handle thousands of concurrent requests without blocking. No traffic jams. This makes it absolutely perfect for high-performance microservices, heavy-duty banking platforms, and of course, those massive e-commerce backends we just talked about.
And honestly, this brings up another massive industry shift you need to know about. FastAPI has become the undisputed go-to framework for data scientists and engineers who are building modern AI systems. Whether it's setting up endpoints for ChatGPT, building RAG pipelines, or streaming complex large language model responses, FastAPI's asynchronous nature handles all those heavy, long-running AI inferences flawlessly. It's a total game changer for AI backends.
Okay, let's move into section 2 and actually get our hands dirty with the setup.
We know the why, so let's start building. Listen carefully, because this is the most common beginner mistake: installing your packages globally. Don't do it. We always start by isolating our project dependencies in a virtual environment. Once you have that activated, you just run a quick pip install FastAPI to grab the actual framework and Unicorn, which is going to be our lightning fast ASGI server. Finally, we launch that server. Simple, right?
Let's actually look at the code that goes into our main.py file to make this happen. I want to explain this line by line. First, we import FastAPI right from the FastAPI module. Next, we initialize our application by calling FastAPI, and we just assign that to a variable called app. Then, look at this. We use a standard Python decorator at app.get//. This tells our server, hey, anytime a user visits our root URL using an HTTP GET request, trigger the function right below me. Finally, our read root function just returns a simple Python dictionary. And the magic here? FastAPI automatically converts that dictionary into proper JSON format for the browser. It is so incredibly clean. When you actually run your server, this terminal output is what you're going to see. But pay close attention to that --reload flag in the command. By including that flag, the Unicorn development server actively watches all of our files. The second we hit save on our code, it automatically restarts the application. I can't tell you how much of a massive time saver this is when you're actively developing.
Moving right along to section 3, let's build an actual product API.
Let's take that foundational knowledge and apply it to a practical, real-world e-commerce product API. If we want to manage a product catalog, we have to map our back-end Python logic to standard HTTP operations. The golden rule here is simple. Get is to read data, post is to create new data, put is to update existing data, and delete is to, well, remove it. Every single button click on an e-commerce front end maps directly to one of these 4 operations. And here is where FastAPI really starts doing the heavy lifting for us. Check out this route, /items/item ID. We're defining a dynamic path parameter here for a specific product ID. And down in our function definition, we specify that item ID must be an integer, using standard Python type hints. So what happens? When a user requests /items5, FastAPI automatically extracts that 5 from the URL, validates that it's actually a number, converts it from a string to an integer, and passes it right into our function. But if a user types /itemsApple, no way! FastAPI will automatically reject it with an error before our custom code even runs.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, making our data bulletproof with Pydantic.
This is arguably the most powerful feature of the entire framework. Ask yourself, how do you prevent malicious users or just buggy front ends from crashing your system with bad data? Imagine someone submits an order with a negative price on your store. That's a disaster. Why rely on FastAPI for this? Because writing manual if-else statements to check every single field of a JSON request is tedious, it's super error-prone, and it totally clutters up your business logic. To solve this, FastAPI uses an incredible library called Pydantic. We just import base model from Pydantic and create a class. Let's call it item. Inside, we strictly define our expected data structure using pure Python type hints. We declare that a name absolutely must be a string, a price must be a float. We can even define optional fields, like a description or tax, simply by assigning them a default value of none.
Now look at how beautifully this all connects together. Over on the right, you've got a raw JSON request payload for a new laptop coming in from a client. On the left, we have our post endpoint. Notice that parameter item. By simply declaring that this incoming payload should conform to our Pydantic item model, FastAPI handles the whole parsing process. It reads the raw JSON, checks every single field against our defined types, and converts it into a native Python object. You can instantly start interacting with it using dot notation, like item.name. It is brilliant.
But wait, we can push this even further. We can enforce strict business logic right at the routing level. By importing field from Pydantic, we can tell the app, hey, ensure a product name has a minimum length of 3 characters, and critically, make sure this price is strictly greater than or equal to 0. If a request comes in violating these rules, FastAPI doesn't even blink. It instantly returns a detailed HTTP 422 unprocessable entity error, totally rejecting the bad request before it ever touches your database or your core logic.
So, Section 5. How do we take all of this beyond localhost and scale to production?
Everything we've built so far is running locally on your machine. But how does this API evolve into a real enterprise service? In a real production environment, your FastAPI application doesn't just sit there in isolation. It acts as the core of a much larger architecture. Client requests come in, they hit your FastAPI gateway. From there, you're validating users via JWT authentication. You certainly won't be using basic Python lists to store your data. Instead, you're going to connect to a heavy-duty PostgreSQL database using an ORM like Alchemia. To handle millions of reads at scale, you drop a Redis cache right in front of it. And finally, you package this entire whole shebang into Docker containers and deploy it out to a cloud provider like AWS. That right there is your exact blueprint for a modern, scalable backend.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 6, interview success tips, so you can actually land the job.
You understand the mechanics, you understand the architecture, so let's get you ready for that interview. A senior developer always knows when to choose their tools. If an interviewer asks you to compare frameworks, and they will, here is your playbook. Use Django when you need a massive monolithic application that needs a built-in admin panel and a rigid ORM. Use Flask when you just need a highly flexible micro-framework for some simple synchronous tasks. But you choose FastAPI when you're building highly scalable asynchronous APIs, microservices, or AI backends where sheer performance and automatic data validation are your absolute top priorities.
Interviewers are specifically going to look out for common beginner pitfalls. We talked about virtual environments, but the absolute biggest red flag? Blocking the async event loop. FastAPI is fast because it's asynchronous. If you write slow, synchronous code, like a heavy database query or downloading a massive file, without using a wait or pushing it to a background task, you are going to block the entire server from handling any other requests. It's like causing a traffic jam on the highway. Always keep your event loop clear. And finally, always mention the developer experience. With older frameworks, you can spend hours manually configuring Postman or writing wiki pages just to document your APIs. But with FastAPI, because of those Pydantic models and type hints we wrote earlier, the framework automatically generates beautiful, interactive Swagger documentation. You literally just navigate to /docs in your browser, and you can test your APIs right there on the screen. It is an absolute game changer for front-end teams who need to consume your APIs.
So we have gone from a completely blank terminal to understanding how to route requests, validate complex JSON payloads, and even structure an enterprise architecture. With the incredible power of FastAPI and Pydantic now at your fingertips, the only question left to ask is, what incredible backend system are you going to build today? Get out there, get coding, and we'll see you in the next explainer.